And joining us now to discuss this is Dr. John Mugo, who's an education researcher. Thank you so much for making time. Let's start with the obvious question. Yes, we saw what we've reported as massive failure in this particular KCSE. But for you, other than that, was there something peculiar about the results?
We raised questions, and one of them was on the test itself, and the other one was on the processes. We know that the 2016 processes were different, especially in how the examinations were administered, but also the efficiency that we saw in the marking. What I think is that KCSE being what is called a criterion reference test, meaning that students compete against a standard rather than against each other, then that is where the question arose whether really within the global assessment standards normalizing these tests is necessary or not. So we have less issues for KCPE because KCPE is what is called a norm reference test, as students normally competing with each other, and so you can standardize them. So I think after much reflection, these results show mass failure when you look at the number of E's and D plus going down. But probably this is consistent with what other assessments have shown, including what WESO has been producing, showing that we have serious quality issues. And maybe the debate now should be on how learning can happen rather than how to change the measure.
And yet you talked about something querisome in terms of the process and the efficiency of it. So NAT Secretary General Sosyon is talking about standardization of grades that has previously happened in other examinations that did not occur right now. What exactly is standardization when it comes to marking, and has that been a NEC policy?
What usually ought to happen is that KCPE is standardized, meaning that because this is a norm reference test, we want to see ranking a student from the first to the last is what is important. So KCPE is standardized. Standardizing means after marking you look at the results, how are they distributed, and then push that to what is called a normal curve, so that most students are centered around the mean score, and we have few students in the extremes. Now KCSE is different because students compete against a standard. So usually when you have the results, you can see them, how students have performed. Then you set a standard, and every student's marks are fitted to that standard. So it is possible that these years...
And that should not be negotiated with...
It really shouldn't be negotiated, and it is important as a country that we know the real situation rather than masking it. Because you can decide to mask it, for instance, by deciding that an A is let's say 60, because as Sosyon tries to explain, because mathematics was so poorly performed, let's push the A down to 60 and maybe E down to 10%. But is that really important or good for our country? And the answer is no. The issue is let us set the A where it's supposed to be for all the subjects, so that when we are saying this is a doctor because they have an A, we are sure that this standard this student really has qualified for that. I don't know whether this has happened in the past, and maybe NEC will be telling us whether there were any differences. But I think these results may be showing us the reality, and the reality is that we have a lot of schooling in this country without learning, and we need to now discuss that.